Moneyality, moneyality, with the moneyologist, Miss Tanya Collins.
2, 1, 0.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Monday with Moneyality. And my name is Tanya Collins, the Miss Moneyologist. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the 5 moneyality types, as I have done for the last 2 weeks, is to go through each one of them. We started with the splurger. And so tonight we're going to go through each one of them, and then we're going to stay and be focused on the tracker tonight. And I'm going to tell you a little more about how the tracker child is and some of the suggestions I offer for the parents. So before we get started, we're going to do our sponsors. And tonight we're going to start with Some Kind of Waste Solutions Incorporated. It's a nonprofit that's is financial focus, which equals cultural connections and equals life lessons. And the number is 901-220-5704. And that nonprofit is in connection with Moneyality because they are going to be merged together in ways where Some Kind of Waste Solutions will also be having Moneyality as one of its financial focus courses that you can take from their website, and for other partners that want to be in with that nonprofit, they can go through them and connect and have Moneyality as a source to teach children about their moneyality types as well. And the next company is Joy Media Group. And Joy Media Group is joymediagroup.net, 901-618-9501. And as I spoke last week, Joy Media Group is helping people with businesses come, and she could also help them understand how to set up businesses and just have all things about business. You could reach out to her and any media help that you would like to have. And the next person is Nick Venti Design, the one-stop shop for mobile apps, animation, and web design. And his number is 662-902-9737. Okay, so I am excited tonight. We're going to go through each one of them. I have them now where I can let you see them and they can be read, so you can kind of capture it on the screen. So we're going to start with a PowerPoint about Moneyality, the ace of personal finance. So the first one that we're going to talk about is we're just doing a quick overview of all of them, is the Keeper, which is the serious saving circulator. I spoke about the Keeper last week, and the Keeper loves to save money, gets a huge thrill out of getting a good deal. And as I've told you, I love to say that I'm a keeper. And whether he has loads of money or barely a penny to his name, the Keeper is always looking for ways to spend less. And we do not spend less, we circulate more. So that is the key, that we always want to remind people that in Moneyality, we circulate our money with the intent to know that circulating it puts it in the air and it comes around to us, where you're being able to do it freely and not grudgingly having to put the money out there and having reluctancy or even having buyer's remorse about purchasing things. So you want to always feel joy when you're dealing with your money, and your money will bring you joy in return. And that's something that I've learned. I listen to a lot of different videos, and just to talk about that, one thing I would love for people to always consider, not just as a keeper, but as an individual who encounters having money, is to be open and I know a lot of times some of us may not have faith that wow, we're going to be able to have money to pay certain bills or to have for vacations. But if we are very conscious and always be positive about it, and it possibly will be the way we feel about how we deal with our money. So I'm not going to go into that tonight because I do love talking about that topic. However, I'm going to keep going because I will get thrown off because I love every aspect of moneyality. So the next one is the splurger, which is the extreme circulator. And we have talked about the splurger. The extreme circulator is that they love to have so much enjoyment that comes with circulating their money. It doesn't even matter if a splurger is buying something that's huge, or they're buying a car, or they're buying a piece of gum. I will tell you, they just like the idea of having that instant gratification. And sometimes it is a difference, of course, when I'm just telling you about like buying a car and that pack of gum. But for a splurger, buying it is what is awesome to them. They just love the idea to be able to have that adventure to splurge and have that extreme circulating. And the next one is the tracker. And I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the tracker, but they are the planning circulator. And trackers are always looking ahead and they think about the plan for the future. And I'm going to go in depth with that a little bit in a minute, but it gives them security. They love feeling that they can take care of their future by saving, and they are very good at planning things. So we're going to go a little more deeper into them. And the next one is the adventurer, which is the risk takers. They are thrill seeking circulators. Adventurers are the entrepreneurs. We are the visionaries because I know that this is my second moneyality type, my secondary moneyality type. They are likely to end up billionaires or broke or bankrupt, even. I'm like, I love that, but I don't love that because we want to know that who wouldn't want to be able to maintain that billionaire status? But we are such risk takers that we'll just like put in the whole egg, all of the eggs in the basket. We just put them out there because we are really always very excited about making sure that we follow through and just jump off the edge. And that fear is not a part of who we are. We really do love the idea to just have a vision and to just try a lot of different things. So I love that about the adventurer. And the next one is the mingler. The mingler is the carefree socializing circulator. This is the most unusual moneyality type. Minglers, by all of the other ones, are not individuals that care about money. Money is not even something they love to talk about. It's not even something they really consider. I look forward to talking about minglers in the next 2 weeks because minglers don't even really think about money. They don't care about money. And a lot of people are just really in awe with the idea of feeling like it's okay to think about money in negative ways, or money is evil and people that have money should be doing different things. But that's not always the case. And I look forward to explaining how a mingler's mindset could possibly change if they understand the strategies of how money is needed and that it does work for a lot of things that they need even in life. So we really can't just not think about it. We do have to use it within our own lives and just doing simple things. So those are the 5 moneyality types. So now we're going to get started with tonight. We're going to be talking about the tracker. And one of my favorite things to think about is that if you think about you have 5 friends, out of your 5 friends, there's going to probably be a tracker. Trackers are goal oriented. They make plans for the future. So think about your friends. Think about which ones are the ones that when you're in the group, they're wanting to say, "Hey, where are we going?" They want to schedule the times. They normally have calendars. They live by their calendars. They do not like to have things altered. So they are very rigid as far as going forward with their plans. If you throw them off and want to do something adventurous, they're not going to really love that. It takes a little nudging to get a tracker to do anything beyond what they are familiar with and what their calendars have presented them with. And even with children, it's really easy to kind of notice that in your child. Tracker children are the children that you will ask them, what are you going to do in your future? And a tracker child can probably tell you where they want to go to school, where they want to go to college, what jobs they're going to be really interested in. And they really stick to those things. They will also be very interested in helping you. Like if you are really wanting to have a child to help you with a grocery list or to plan your vacations, talk to your tracker children. Tracker children are not the ones that's going to be flaky. They're going to follow through. And if you ask them to do something, when it comes to presenting something, they stick to it. They are really good people to have on your team, especially for me. I really love my tracker friends because they balance me. They actually help me understand how to stay on task for a lot of things. And they're just really interested in making sure they have money. And for money for a tracker is going to be security for them. A lot of us think, oh, who doesn't want money for a security? But these students or these children and these adults for as trackers, they are loving the idea that they plan so they can forecast and have the desires they want for their future. So whether it's investing or purchasing things, they are very futuristic. So some other things about them is that they have to worry. They worry a lot. And sometimes you can look at your children and you can realize that why is my child worrying? This is a kid. Like, why are they worrying? But they do because they are really always thinking, how will this impact how they feel or what is going to happen with their future? So they have a lot of worry, which is anxiety, which we are really going to try to make sure we can have strategies to let that be part of a place where they can relax because we want children to be children. And I'm going to talk to parents on ways that they can kind of instill in them that a lot of the things that they worry about, they shouldn't. Those maybe are adult issues that they should defer to, not to put those things on their shoulders, but they are very indecisive sometimes because they don't really know if they're living in the moment how it works. They're really not good at that. Like anything spontaneous, it doesn't really work for them. So we're going to talk a little more about that. And they also always plan, which is an asset, but they also plan for, I mean, they're not planned for. They also have very much delayed gratification. And a lot of that can be positive because we know with the splurger, they have that instant gratification that they want. But a tracker child or a tracker adult, they have delayed gratification. And many times they will miss out on something because they overthink it. They won't purchase it just then. They have to maybe go do more research on it. And if they don't see the thing so prime example, if a tracker person child or adult, if they go somewhere and they have a list of what their plans are to get something done, a tracker is going to get there. And if it's a sale they have seen that is in the paper and it says phones are on sale and they're going to come out on March 31st. Those tracker children or adults, they're going to have that on their calendar. They're going to show up. And you know how that small writing on the bottom of most sales are, especially when you're doing with phones, if that phone is coming out and they have that small writing that has not been visible for them, that will just really have them stressed out because they have planned. They get there on the 31st. They want to be there. They want to be present in that moment because they've planned for it. And they want to be able to get it at the price that it has been presented to them through that advertisement. But if you tell them something any different, it will totally throw them off keel. It just causes anxiety. They are very similar to keepers. As a keeper, I feel like I have many of very similar traits that the tracker have, but I don't feel like I am excessive about it for the future. I really do kind of like to see my money and the things that I have like right here for the right now. I just kind of like to look at accounts and say, wow, I got this much money in an account and things like that. But for a tracker, they are looking at their accounts. They've already subtracted the amounts that they want to have to buy or purchase these things. So that is really going to be something that's going to have them really feeling out of sorts. So the next thing I want to talk about with the tracker is that trackers like to stick with what they know, whether it's sports or restaurants. So let's talk about a tracker child. A lot of times when we have been talking about children in schools before with the splurger and the keeper, those children have different characteristics in the tracker. A tracker child, if you start them with soccer, they would play soccer for the rest of their school. They do not really budge from a sport that they really have already started. If they like it, they will endure it. They will keep it. They will not deviate. They're not interested in playing multiple sports. They're just kind of focused on that one thing. So what I will say, just talking about that part of a tracker of a child, what I would say for a parent is that if you introduce your child to soccer and you start noticing that they have all their gear, you're not going to have to worry about if their gear is ready. They're going to be worrying you, is my stuff clean? They want to have all the equipment set aside. They are always going to be prepared. So for a parent, if you are bored, you're probably going to be the one that's more stressed because you may want your child to have more interactions with other sports or different other activities. So you're thinking, oh, you should try something else. You should try football, or maybe you should be in the chess club. But if they're playing soccer, they're pretty rigid. They're going to want to play soccer from maybe pre-K all the way through college. They would perfect that sport. And that is an amazing thing. That's a beautiful thing. I mean, I like that about them, but it also gets them from being able to just have experiences beyond what they already know. So that was what I would tell parents. You're going to have to introduce them and say, really, hey, I want you to live in the here and now. I want you to try something different. I want you to you have to kind of nudge them to even try to play chess or try to play a game at home. If you're playing anything, you want to try to get them to try different things. Just invite them or have their siblings or some of their friends say, oh, come on, let's do something different other than what they are used to doing. And another example that I had up there is like the restaurants. I know for me, I will try all restaurants. And it's not just because I love food, it's because I like trying different things, but not a tracker. A tracker, if they are hamburgers, they're going to want hamburgers. It's rare that they're going to want to deviate from that restaurant that they're very familiar with. They don't really like to explore because in their mind, that money would be a waste to them because they know what's good to them. They know what they like. But to go and buy something or try something that they're not familiar with, it just gives them a little more anxiety, kind of have them worrying about, is this going to be what I want? And it kind of makes them want to have pushback. And it's just a resistance. And again, parents, you will have to really tell them, hey, I've heard there are good reviews, or even better, to really get them on point is to have them look at a list of restaurants and say, hey, I want you to help plan where we're going to go out for dinner, and we want to do something that is not familiar. So have them to kind of look and research what else. If they like hamburgers, tell them to let's find another restaurant that probably offers a different type of hamburger. So let them do the research, or allow them to be actively involved in whatever that plan is. And that gives them a little less anxiety. It allows them to feel a part of whatever the decision is. And that is the best thing that a parent can do, is to make sure that a tracker child is also very engaged in the planning of the things for their household. And that is, sometimes people say, oh, that may be a big responsibility. Those are children. But sometimes children have the different personalities that doesn't take them away from being a child, but it also lets them be feeling empowered by making decisions because they like that. That is part of their financial DNA. And those are things that I talk about, is that our financial DNA is very important. Like, parents oftentimes pass on some of the characteristics that they have onto their children. And I have relationships where I've met parents that are trackers. And if I observe them, normally they will have a child that mimics their behavior. And then when they have children that don't mimic their behavior, they often struggle with that, because a tracker grows up to keep many of their same personality traits. So they are constantly needing to be nudged. I have had really close friends that are trackers, and I have to kind of nudge them to say, hey, let's try something else. But I do, again, I love them, because if I say, hey, let's go to Jamaica and let's go and let's stay 5 days, pass that over to them, and lots of that will quick they'll find the best hotels, they'll find the best plane tickets. Many times they are frustrated because they are looking for things that's pretty solid or concrete, but otherwise, planners they are. So the next thing about trackers, our tracker children have their futures planned out from colleges to their careers. And I mentioned that earlier. When you have a child that at 5 years old say, I'm going to be a doctor, sometimes they'll say, I'm a doctor. My niece says she wants to be a designer. She wants to be, what did she tell me? She said she wanted to be a designer. She wanted to be like, what do you call it? Like a chef, or a culinary arts. And then because she is being exposed to these different things, but she's never been adamant about, I just want to help people. I want to be in the medical field. And so they don't have to be in the medical field. That's not what I'm saying. But whatever the career they feel like they have been exposed to and they find interest in it, they will research it and they will track that career. They'll learn all the things about it. You'll find that child on YouTube looking at videos about whatever field it is, whether it's a doctor, nurse, scientist, or even that soccer player. They would learn how soccer works, or how do you get to go to the Olympics playing soccer? How do you find schools that have soccer teams? Those children are going to be able to figure out at early ages things that they really like, and they're already starting to plot out as their future careers, and where colleges, what scholarships are available. Again, parents, these are some amazing children. Sometimes we overlook things and we'll say, oh, like I say, always be mindful of how we talk to them. They're not children that are really trying to make these adult decisions. But I will say, as a parent, you do need to do your due diligence and make sure you're having conversations with them, because tracker children can be very closed in about sharing some of the things, because most of the time they'll think, you already know what I want to do, you already know what I want to, what I like, what I want to do. And that may be true, but you have to start having conversations with them, maybe asking them, so have you been thinking about what school you want to go to? What have you found out about that school? Ask them open-ended questions, so they have to talk, not yes or no questions, because as you see, most children, not just tracker children, if you say, how was school today? It was okay. So I don't ask children, how was school today? I normally say, hey, what was your favorite thing about school today? So that means they got to think about what was something that they liked about school. I learned that from reading the article, and I thought, wow, as an educator, that was a very amazing thing to not start. So just doing that with all our children, but not just staying like, how was school today? I mean, people say, how was work today? Oh, it's okay. No, always try to ask someone, what was fun about today? What did you enjoy about work today? Just all of those questions to kind of get them to talk, because saying yes and no, or and all those things, it just kind of leave you empty, because you don't really know what happened. And then that means you got to ask more questions, but allow them to talk by asking them an open-ended question that allows them to share about what they experienced. And that is really good, a very good strategy to use with a tracker child. Okay. Next thing. Okay, tracker parents, like I said, the biggest issue with the child is getting them to live in the now. Tracker children are the planners, so we could just stress that over and over again, but they do need clear expectations. They need those. That is very much a part of who they are. Uh, they are researchers. They will definitely look and look. And like I said, they'll stay on YouTube. They'll be encyclopedias, whatever means that they can get. If you look at, think about yourself as a child, or if you are a tracker child, you probably were the children that were looking at encyclopedias when we used to have them. All those books, you could go through them. They were in that age group. I'm sorry, in that age group, even for my age group, our tracker child would have been one that was going to the library to find out things and seeing what makes them tick on what they like. So if you were that kind of child, you should understand that a tracker is very much the same. And so now let me just talk quickly about what that means with circulating, because it's the same mindset when it comes to circulating their money. And I don't want you to not think that they use the same methods and strategies when it comes to circulating their money. So with a tracker, trackers are going to be very active in researching. If they're doing stocks, they're going to be the ones that research what stock is this, what about that stock is important. They're also going to be the ones that you need to give like time to understand that security is what they're seeking. So if they have finances that is coming at them, whether it's their allowance or it's their paycheck, they are definitely going to want to use so much of that money, and they want to circulate it through long-term ways to save it. So a tracker child probably would want to understand more about mutual funds. Like, what is a mutual fund? Maybe doing those, or a CD for 5 years or a CD for 10 years. They are wanting to put their money in something that's very secure, maybe bonds, things that they don't feel like they can lose it easily. They're not going to be high risk takers when it comes to the stock market. It's not that they're not going to be a part of the stock market, but they are not risky. They're not going to just throw their money out there. They're going to talk to their financial planner, and they want to be the least resistant to something going down. So in the market as we have now, it would have them with so much anxiety. They would probably be a lot worried, like, wow, what is happening with my 401k? They would be trying to figure out what other ways can they put their money in a position that is going to secure them for their future. This time of life, I mean, during this time of season where we are dealing in the world right now with the banks dropping and with like the inflation and things like that, these are things that causes ripples for a tracker. They're going to be really kind of out of sorts, and you really need to check on them, because how they feel about having their money secure is very, very important to them. So I think that is enough of a summary pretty much for what a tracker child will feel like, as well as how parents should really try to keep them engaged and having them to try different things. So if you have any questions about tracker children or any of the 5 moneyality types, please, please, please feel free to leave comments at the bottom of the videos. I will check them when I get the alerts, and I will respond back to them. These are just small little tidbits about what you would have or your child to expect in the course of moneyality, the ACE of personal finance. So the little things that I'm sharing now, they will be broken up into bigger segments, and they're going to be talked about with more intense strategies and different methods of how to interact with your tracker child and how your tracker child will live in the day-to-day world. So I think that's pretty much all with them. I will say, just in closing, is let them relax and come to terms with the control issues. You know, that there's really kind of a summary of it. They are really wanting to be in control of their future, and that is not anything but a positive for them. Like, we all should take some clues from the tracker and be very mindful of our future and being in control of making those decisions. But also, you want to have a life that is predictable and unpredictable. You want to be able to predict the great things about planning for your future, but you also want this child to be able to experience things that are unpredictable, because that relieves some of the stress and some of the anxiety. So with all of that and said, love, love, love a tracker. A tracker is going to be the best for the future. They are going to make a plan for the future, and they got you when it comes to that. So if you're with the tracker, raising a tracker, dating a tracker, married to a tracker, you can pretty much rest assured that they are doing their due diligence to make sure that you guys are going to be taken care of in the future. So with that being said, I am Tanya Collins, the Miss Moneyologist. Next week, we're going to be talking about the adventurer. And I look forward to talking about the adventurer. The adventurer are the risky thrill seeker circulators and how they perform with their money. So, okay, we're out for tonight. Thank you for Moneyality Mondays. Look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you. Have an amazing evening, and I will look forward to seeing you next week. Peace.
Moneyality, 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 with the moneyologist, Miss Tanya Collins.
2, 1, 0.